This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Friday, the real Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. And today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Celebrate the wins. What a week. But can we talk about that meal last night, man?
At Hen of the Wood?
Oh, that was so good. I want 2. I wanted 3 of everything.
I got the tagliatelle, which you should have ordered.
I had huge regrets after that. Huge regrets.
Anytime the restaurant says we have homemade pasta, order the pasta.
Honestly, we should have worked on our menu strategy.
In all seriousness, Nick, thank you for coming to Vermont. I feel
absolutely
incredibly loved. You were my 3-day doula.
Yeah, Jack.
You gave me a great dose of friendship before my 3rd baby's coming.
I'm your doula dude, Jack. I got your back. I'm there. I was ready in case I had to cut an umbilical cord.
Nick woke up at 3 a.m. Eastern time to catch a 5 a.m. flight to fly to San Francisco, and now he's recording the pod with me.
Anything for the show, Jack. Anything for you, man. 3 stories for today's show. What do we got on the pod?
For our first story, the biggest drama in business right now is Olipop versus Poppi.
It's a prebiotic soda scuffle, and it all comes down to a $25,000 vending machine.
For our second story, guess who's about to get their second new stock exchange in the last year?
Who is it?
Texas is.
Texas! The New York Stock Exchange is about to go south by southwest.
And our third and final story, the next big podcast platform is reportedly going to be Netflix.
Netflix is looking into podcasts because there is nothing hotter than a habit.
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix of stories.
Fantastic mix of stories. Love the mix, Jack.
Nothing says love on Valentine's Day like a bouquet of flowers, a box of chocolates,
and spending 3 hours assembling a pine wood sofa together.
Because the newest dating platform is actually being launched by Ikea.
Ikea is the new Cupid.
Get this, in England, Ikea stores are offering first date services this Valentine's Day.
That's right, Ikea partnered with a dating company to pair up singles at Ikea stores.
Now, why would Ikea do dating? Here's the reason. People buy mattresses at Ikea.
And the person you date is also your bedmate.
So Ikea dating isn't matching you based on your personality, your occupation, or your horoscope.
No. Ikea is matching you based on your mattress preferences.
Is a hard mattress gal compatible with a soft mattress guy?
Jack, and a cool bed dude love a warm bed babe.
If you sleep with your socks on, your mate better sleep with their socks on too.
It's a red flag, Jack. That's a red flag. But honestly, this does make economic sense, doesn't it, man?
Every couple spends a third of their lives in bed together.
So perhaps the key to a long-lasting relationship is actually mattress compatibility.
But we haven't even told you the wildest part yet about Ikea dating.
Get this. One lucky couple who matches through Ikea mattresses gets a romantic meatball meal in bed.
No joke.
Yeah, true.
If you walk into a British Ikea tonight, you may find your future husband or future wife on a mattress dining over meatballs.
And then the store makes you a Swedish meatball with gravy that they serve you on the bed in an Ikea showroom.
It's a wild first date experience.
So Yetis, this Valentine's Day, remember the #1 rule of love.
Round up to king size.
Because everyone needs their space, even if you're in love.
And if you're a cuddler, but your partner's not a cuddler,
I prefer a full Jack. I like to be close. I need the love. Let's hit our 3 stories.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, the biggest drama in business right now, it's between 2 soda startups, Poppi and Olipop.
And this wild soda beef that's happening right now, it reveals the top rule of social media marketing.
Jack, we have been covering the functional beverage trend for a while, but what's going on with prebiotic sodas? Like, what are they exactly?
I still find it hard to believe that some bacteria is good for your gut.
Yeah, they're very positive bacteria, but this is soda filled with gut health bacteria. It's basically a Dr. Pepper inspired by yogurt.
And like Uber and Lyft, Airbnb and Vrbo, and Hinge and Tinder, startups that are disrupting industries launch in pairs.
So the soda industry is being disrupted by Olipop and Poppi, 2 prebiotic sodas.
The smaller of the 2 is Poppi. They sell colorful pink cans looking like Skittles and have $100 million of annual sales.
Yeah, maybe you noticed that Poppi had a Super Bowl ad this year starring 3 top influencers.
But they did more than just a Super Bowl ad. As part of their Super Bowl promotion, they sent 32 influencers a vending machine.
Yeah.
A custom Poppi soda vending machine.
Jack, could you pop open some context for us, please, about influencer marketing?
It's common for brands to send influencers gifts. They basically hope that the influencer likes the brand sweatshirt, puts it on, posts it on social, and drives the likes.
And we call it the Alex Earl effect. Basically, anything she uses becomes so popular that you shoppy till you droppy, and that it sells out.
So Alex Earl receives everything for free at her doorstep,
including a Poppi 7-foot, 900-pound custom vending machine in her apartment.
So if Alex Earl craves soda in the middle of the night, she'll go downstairs to her private Poppi vending machine, pound a can of Poppi, and post to her 4 million Instagram followers.
Not too shabby.
Nick, that's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like it worked.
She did it. She was thirsty. And we got the numerical results.
Poppi vending machine videos got 100 million views across social media last week.
Poppi was popping off pretty good.
But that's when the controversy began.
Because Yetis, those videos got a lot of angry comments about the extravagance of those Poppi vending machines.
20% of the comments were negative. People said that these vending machines were obnoxious. It's out of touch that they sent them in the first place. In this economy, free vending machines?
Why do rich people get free stuff? There was pushback of people peeved at Poppi, which led to the Poppi plot twist.
Poppi's rival, Olipop, they opened a can of schadenfreude at watching all these negative comments.
Honestly, we've never seen something like this before. But some of the meanest comments about Poppi were posted by their rival, Olipop.
It's another diss track situation in corporate advertising.
Basically, they would comment and say things like, did you know these vending machines cost $25,000? Which got people even angrier.
They were fanning the anger. One Olipop executive even ripped on Poppi in the comments from their personal handle.
Which is awkward too, because Olipop just hit a $1.8 billion valuation, and no one's even talking about that. Everyone's just talking about Poppi.
This is the kind of drama you usually see on Bravo. Real Housewives of Functional Beverages.
But in the meantime, apparently, all is fair in love, war, and Instagram, and we were trying to figure out what's the issue with both these brands.
Well, Poppi probably chose the wrong moment. Like, everyone's crushed by inflation. Don't flaunt these free vending machines for these famous influencers.
It's possible the culture has shifted, and this was the peak.
But Olipop also looks insecure, like ripping on Poppi in the middle of their PR crisis in a kind of petty way.
They were kind of punching down. They looked a little thirsty. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Poppi?
The comments are the content.
So, besties, was it worth it for Poppi to do this campaign? Well, we looked at the numbers, and 100 million views had overwhelming positive comments, and they only spent $1 million.
$1 million spend to get 100 million views? That is a good return. A Super Bowl ad costs 8 times as much for the same number of views.
Great comparison, Jack. But this campaign also got hundreds of million more views because of the drama in the comments.
Successful politicians know that attention is all that matters.
Oh, they know it right now.
And prebiotic soda had all our attention last week because of the controversy.
Because of the comments. It's a reminder about a great rule for social media strategy. The comments are the content.
The impact of the post is, sure, what you post matters. What people comment on it arguably matters more.
In fact, we bet the first place most followers are going right now, it's not to see what you posted, it's to read the comments section. For our second story, the New York Stock Exchange is opening a second shop down in Texas.
The bigger story here is the southeast quadrant of the United States, which is taking both population and corporations from the 2 big blue states.
Now, Yetis, America's financial capital, it's always been New York City, but did you know the New York Stock Exchange has a little offshoot over in Chicago?
Not anymore, they don't.
No, they don't.
The company that owns the New York Stock Exchange is taking their talent south, moving their Chicago outpost down to Texas.
Yeah, they're still going to have the classic New York one. That's not going anywhere. But the offshoot in Chicago, that's down in Dallas now.
I mean, if you're going to have two stock exchanges, it makes sense to have one in a blue state, one in a red state.
Yeah, that's the way things are these days. Now, the New York Stock Exchange says they're doing this because Texas is home to more publicly listed companies than any other state in America.
And the NYSE also shouted out Texas's pro-business atmosphere.
But Jack, funny timing considering a story we did last year. What do you think the real reason is for the new New York Stock Exchange South by Southwest?
Last year, a startup called the Texas Stock Exchange raised $120 million to open a stock exchange in Dallas.
That's right. It's not based on Wall Street. It's based on Y'all Street.
And if stock trading is going to happen in Texas, the New York Stock Exchange wants in on it.
So besties, add it all up, and the two new Lone Star Stock Exchanges in less than 1 year, that's big.
They're going to be less Brooks Brothers, more Bolo ties.
Less Sweet Green, more Sweet Brisket.
Less Gordon Gekko, more Matthew McConaughey.
I knew you had a third one.
You did?
I didn't, so I'm glad you did. Now, Yetis, the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ are our two big stock exchanges. They basically control the markets with a duopoly.
It's a duopoly. We've been to both of those exchanges dozens of times. And the only big difference between the two, besides one being in Midtown and one being downtown, is one has a stock exchange floor.
Like a literal floor. The New York Stock Exchange's famous ceremonial floor.
Back in the day, guys who used to play football in college would take jobs as stock traders because it was a physical sport where they would like box out the other guys to get their order in first.
It's pretty cool to watch in person, but it is also a relic in an age of digital trading.
It's completely not necessary that they have this giant floor today.
And that's why NASDAQ launched in 1971 with a fully electronic exchange, stock trading as a non-contact sport.
But down in Texas, both of the new exchanges, both in Dallas, are going to be fully electronic. The only physical section of these stock exchanges
What do you think it's going to be?
is like the party room, basically.
Yeah, the party room. What goes down in the party room, Jack?
It's a ceremonial room used by CEOs and employees of companies that are having their big IPO day.
Yeah, like instead of ringing the bell at the Texas Stock Exchange, maybe the CEO will ride like a mechanical bull, Jack.
That'd actually be pretty awesome. But yet he's the real driving reason why a company might choose Texas instead of New York to list their stock.
It ain't the Salt Lick pulled pork, is it, Jack?
It's the Texas trio. Lower taxes, business-friendly courts, and less rules and regulations.
So, Jack, what's our takeaway for our buddies down in Texas with the Texas Stock Exchanges?
The two poles of corporate America have lost their magnetism.
Yetis, if America were a geological map, then New York City is the financial pole and California is the innovation pole, our east and west poles.
But since the pandemic, those two poles have both started showing cracks in their respective dominance.
And where is that polarity moving? Well, it's moving to the southeast.
The southeast of the United States grew by 3.5 million people during the pandemic. Virtually all net U.S. population growth happened in the southeast.
And that is why the new Texas Stock Exchange brags it's in the southeast quadrant of America, Texas to Florida to North Carolina.
It's a big triangle, and it's where all the business magnetism is going.
But either way, finance firms moved from New York City to Miami, and tech, oil, and car companies have moved from California to Texas.
Why is this happening? Well, a big reason is New York and California's high housing costs and high taxes.
Yeah, California's more expensive than New York, and I thought New York was expensive, man.
But Nick, this isn't just a culture war or political thing.
True.
This is a serious business reshuffling of the United States.
Yetis, the two poles of corporate America are shifting.
And if the big blue states want to attract businesses again, they gotta make some changes.
Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story, Netflix's next big thing, get this, it's podcasts.
Video podcasts are a financial trick shot for Netflix, which wants to punch YouTube in the screen.
Now, Yetis, you have been hanging out with us for a while, and you may remember that back in 2023, we said this about Netflix.
This was the year that Netflix stopped being Netflix.
Yeah, 2023. Netflix's co-founder had said they would never do advertising or live sports, but now Netflix has both.
They also cracked down on password sharing, they launched video games, and they broadcast Love is Blind live.
Yes.
With a bunch of technical issues.
Yeah. So Netflix, they've been experimenting like a young Wes Anderson, and the stock is up 400% in the last 2 years.
Now, Netflix is reportedly courting podcasters to bring podcasts onto Netflix. I call it Podflix.
Yeah.
Nick calls it NetPod. I think Podflix is a better description.
We'll throw a poll on Spotify right now. Now, according to people familiar with the matter, PFWTMs, last year, Netflix chatted with Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy, although she ended up doing a deal with SiriusXM instead.
Still, it's signed they want to get into podcasting. So first it was Spotify, then it was Amazon. But the next big tech company to get in on podcasts could be Netflix.
But this is what Jack and I found fascinating about this story. Jack, why would Netflix, a completely visual-focused TV long-form company, want in on a version of radio?
First of all, they're video podcasts. Second of all, video podcasts represent a financial trick shot.
Yeah.
Because they're more content, but at a cheaper cost than other forms of video.
What we're saying is that podcasts are high-yield media.
Every form of content, Yetis, has a different business model with different associated costs and a different payoff.
And we've calculated them and we've studied them. Like, why did MTV go all in on reality TV 30 years ago?
Because reality TV requires one set, no script writers, and a cheap cast of non-actors.
Yeah, that's a financial trick shot. And why has Netflix done 350 stand-up comedy specials on their channel?
It's just one person at one location with no writers.
It's a financial trick shot. And it's the same with podcasting.
A 1-hour episode costs thousands of dollars to produce, not millions of dollars.
And now, Jack and I put huge mental work to prepare this podcast every day, beginning at 5 a.m.
But each episode of Squid Game costs $2.5 million, and that's a deal.
Yeah. Squid Game, they used 3,000 gallons of paint on that tug of war set. Jack and I,
We have one backdrop.
we have a simple backdrop, just like every other podcast.
We have a microphone that's never broken.
And that's our only equipment.
So with higher production costs since the writer's strike, Hollywood is looking for content deals, and podcasts are the financial trick shot.
Plus, podcasts have one other major advantage on other types of media.
They develop habits.
Habits. The podcast is a daily habit like brushing your teeth. And Netflix doesn't have that. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Netflix?
Netflix versus YouTube is Ollie versus Frasier, the media fight of the century.
Yetis, the TV used to be dominated by Disney, CBS, NBC, Fox, and now it's dominated by YouTube and Netflix.
Did you hear the wild stat this week? The most popular way that people watch YouTube isn't on a phone or on a computer. It's on a television.
It's on a television. YouTube put out a whole PR release that Netflix must have freaking hated.
YouTube is the new television.
So, just as YouTube has encroached on Netflix's territory, viewing on TVs,
Now Netflix is encroaching on YouTube's territory with video podcasts.
who's winning? It's neck and neck. YouTube does $32 billion a year in revenue. Netflix, they do $34 billion a year in revenue.
Netflix is worth more than all the legacy media networks combined.
And YouTube is the fastest growing piece of $2 trillion alphabet.
Netflix versus YouTube. It's the media fight of the century.
Ding, ding, ding.
Smash that subscribe button to learn more. No, that's not necessary.
No, that's good. That's good. We have a YouTube show. Let's keep it, Jack. I love all of it. Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us for the real Friday?
Poppi's free vending machine for influencers came off as tone deaf to some.
But the controversy drove the campaign's success because the comments are the content.
For our second story, the New York Stock Exchange is opening a second shop in Dallas, Texas.
Because the two poles of corporate America have lost their magnetism.
And our third and final story, Netflix is reportedly looking for video podcasts because it's low-cost content and forms a habit.
Netflix versus YouTube is Ollie versus Frasier, the media fight, bing, ding, ding of the century.
Actually, the media fight of the century is Podflix versus NetPods.
Vote today on Spotify, ironically.
But Yetis, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, RFK Jr. was confirmed by the Senate to lead the Health and Human Services.
That means he's in charge of the FDA, the CDC, Medicare, Medicaid, the NIH, and a bunch of other organizations.
And this also could have huge impacts on vaccine policy, food, and public health.
Second, White Lotus Season 3 debuts this Sunday on HBO. It also launches a dozen collabs this Sunday.
Yeah. In case you missed it, check out our episode from 2 weeks ago on the White Lotus effect. It's amazing.
Basically, whatever location the HBO show is filmed at enjoys a 20% jump in tourism the following year.
Hawaii got a 20% jump, Sicily got a 20% jump, and already in Thailand, they're seeing a tourist surge.
And finally, the Duolingo mascot, a cute app-shaped cartoon owl, is dead.
It's gone after 14 years. Why would the company kill its very own mascot? Well, their caption went viral too.
Here's their caption. Authorities are currently investigating this cause of death, and we are cooperating fully.
Yes.
To be honest, he probably died waiting for you to do your lesson. But what do we know?
Now, we can't confirm this, but Jack, I did just notice Duolingo stock is at an all-time high since they killed their owl. Coincidence?
There are no coincidences.
Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Jack's middle school math teacher, Mr. Becker.
So President's Day is this Monday.
Yes, it is.
It's all about George Washington and Abe Lincoln, isn't it?
Their birthdays are 10 days apart in February, so President's Day splits the difference. You get a day off.
Do you know that George Washington's birth year is mathematically very significant?
Jack, whip out the chalkboard and rip out the numbers for us over there.
All right, first, what's the square root of 9, Nick?
That would be 3.
What's the square root of 4?
That would be 2.
What's the square root of 3? It would happen to be George Washington's birth year.
You're kidding.
1.732.
So Mr. George Washington's birth year is the square root of the number 3.
1.732 is the square root of 3, and 1732 is George Washington's birth year. I've known that ever since middle school, thanks to Mr. Becker.
Mr. Becker, you're getting an A. Yetis, you look fantastic over there for Valentine's Day. Seriously, you look your best. And remember, if you really want to impress her tonight, make her some scrambled eggs.
Yeah, that's like a $30 investment.
I mean, Jack, eggs are the new oysters. I actually think they're more expensive than oysters these days.
Yetis, have a fantastic long weekend. We're dropping a special episode on Monday, and then Nick and I will see you back here Tuesday.
So enjoy Monday's special show, and Jack and I will see you after. And before we go, a happy birthday to legendary Yeti Nyla Mohammadi, turning 1 year old down in Tracy, California.
Get this, on June 2nd, 2023, Nyla's mother surprised her husband that she was pregnant via a T-Boy podcast shout out. And now, not only has that pregnancy resulted in a child, but that child, Nyla, is 1 year old.
Congrats, Nyla. And Carmen S., happy 30th birthday over in Tysons, Virginia.
Happy birthday to David Wong in North Augusta, South Carolina.
And Jolene Pucci's turning 4 years old, celebrating in Canton, Ohio. And Vlad, happy birthday down in Menlo Park.
Happy birthday to Bichuan Lo in Nanning, China, who's an entrepreneur with a sleep device called Lumos.tech.
And Max John down in Crowley, Louisiana is celebrating with some crawfish.
Happy birthday to Carrie Patterson in Chicago, who's got a new small business.
And Don Giuliano in Billings, Montana is celebrating the best birthday yet.
Happy 4-year anniversary to Joy Lewis in Bethlehem, Georgia.
And Rick Ramirez was named Realtor to Watch of 2025. He doesn't miss a single one of his daughter's activities, and he's selling houses.
And happy 5-year anniversary of their first date to Shannon Cosgrove in San Rafael, California. This is Jack. I own stock of Amazon and Netflix, and Nick and I both own stock of Spotify and Airbnb.